And we're off. Welcome everyone. Let's get this party started. And let me open up my chat and see how y'all are doing. Let me go change that to everyone too. Yeah, I'd love to hear from you. I hope you guys enjoyed Monday's session. Had a lot of fun with that. That was a really great session, guys. Your contributions and everything that happened. It was just a phenomenal session. So if you guys haven't seen that, if you missed it, if you're just joining us today, be sure to check out the webinar library. We should already have that posted there. I actually haven't checked it, but I did send it off to get posted, so it should be posted here soon if it hasn't already. And we'll have a lot of fun there, and we'll of course have a lot of fun today talking about exporting our manuscript with Scrivener's compiler. So this is gonna be a lot of fun. Welcome, Stefan. Happy to see you here again. Christine, welcome from. Oh, you just said hello. Hello. Mindy, welcome. Happy to see you here from LA. I'm glad you're looking forward to today's session. We're going to go through the nitty gritty of the compiler, go through its core components and kind of look and see how they work, kind of break it apart. I probably could do like 2 or 3 webinars on the compiler alone. It's just, as all of you know, it's kind of a massive tool with a lot of features in it. But we'll try to cover the core features and really look at it closely, and so get everyone a good feeling so they feel like, hey, I can comfortably use the compiler even if I don't know everything about it. Okay, well, let's see here. Torsten, welcome. Happy to have you here. Lee, welcome from Canada. RW, welcome. Ashley, welcome from Orlando. Bill, welcome from Dallas. Woohoo! Yes, Hades. That's Texas right now, and it's just like an oven. We went grocery shopping yesterday. My heavens, it was like 110 degrees. My AC is normally very, very good in my van. It was not working hardly at all. And we were just like cooking. Oh man, it was crazy. Let's see here. Cheryl, welcome. Angelica, welcome. Isabel, welcome. This is great. Oh, love to see so many people from all over the place. Nick, welcome. Good to see you back again. Gloria, welcome. Chris, welcome back. Alex from New Mexico, welcome. Mark, welcome. Sean, hello to you as well, and welcome. Catherine, good to see you back. Yes, hot in Austin too. Oh man, we are just, we're burning up here in Texas. Most of the South area, I think, of the United States is just like on fire right now. It feels like you're just hot weather. David, welcome from South Wales. Excited to have you here. And James, welcome from England as well. That's great. So we got a lot of people here. This is great. I'm glad to see that. We had over just under 200 registrations for this event. So hoping to see a lot of people show up. Lee, welcome back. George, welcome back. This is great. Let me go through some quick business real quick before we get started here. We'll give everyone probably just a couple more minutes before we get started here. Let's see here. Ooh, it's actually only 96 degrees outside right now. So we got about 2 or 3 minutes here and we'll get started. But of course, I have Alex today on our technical support. She is part of our technical support team, so she is very knowledgeable in Scrivener. Many of you probably already know her and have met her in the past. So she'll be answering your questions in the Q&A as we go along. Now, one little caveat I'm going to point out here with the compiler is that sometimes when we're compiling stuff out, we can get some strange results, and we're going to do our best to get you the core tools you need today to help you know how to use the compiler well. But occasionally you're going to run into some really user specific issues with the compiler, and I'm going to we'll try to approach some of those as best we can today. There simply isn't enough time to go through all those kind of unique situations, but I'll give you information in the end. So if you have a unique situation that you're struggling with the compiler and you need some help with, I want you to contact our technical support team, because they have the time and the means and the efforts to get through all those things, those kind of smaller nitty gritty issues that kind of pop up sometimes when we use the compiler. So just a heads up for that. We're going to cover really the core features of the compiler today. And hopefully we can get to some of those smaller issues in the case-by-case situation if we have some time. Keybell, welcome. Happy to see you here. Don't worry about being late. We haven't even quite gotten started yet. We usually give about 5 minutes after the hour before we dive right in here. So you're on time. You're just in time, actually. You're doing great. Well, real quick before we let me see if there's anything else I'm missing. Of course, this webinar is being recorded, okay, and will be available in the webinar library about 24 to 48 hours after the event. Like I said, I haven't checked to see if the other one's there, but I send it off to our team to get that posted for you. So we should have that posted if it's not already. Angelica, welcome. I think I just scrolled out here. And oh yeah, yep. So I thought that was a new posting, but it looks like you already posted. So anyway, welcome again, Angelica. Let's see here. John, okay, welcome. Kurt, welcome. Okay, so let's see here. You speak your word. Okay, great. John, why don't you drop that into our Q&A, and we can look a little bit closer to that. If you're looking, I'm guessing the pound special character. If I could see what you're looking at, I bet you we could figure out what's going on there. And I might even cover, like, there are certain things like default settings in the compiler that can be changed and removed, and we are going to cover how to do some of that today. But otherwise, yeah, shoot that in the Q&A. If Alex has time to kind of look at that, she will. But really, it might be better if you send us and actually send us an email, send us a correspondence, so that way we can kind of see what's going on with your issue. Because sometimes we have to take what you have and then like run it through the compiler ourselves, see if we can generate the same results, and then figure out why that result is happening. So like usually we'll have you set a copy of a project or like a piece of your project to help us see what's going on there. Yeah, it's a niche of a niche. Yeah. Yeah, you got that right, John. It's a niche of it. Sometimes it's tough because there are little settings in here and there in the compiler that, if ticked or turned off or changed, can change your whole experience. And that's just because there's so much power and custom and so many ways you can customize your experience using the compiler. There's the default things you can do, and there's some really powerful tools in there. So we're going to look at a couple of those today and try to see if we can make sense of it all. Welcome, Cynthia. And Kendra, I'm so glad you're excited for this. I absolutely love the compiler. It is a really cool and powerful tool. And it's fun to be able to kind of work how you want to in Scrivener and then kind of change it and send it out as something completely different to someone else. So let's go ahead and get started. I think we're about, 6 minutes after the hour, 7 minutes after the hour. I think we're ready to roll. Everyone who is here is ready to go. And oh, thank you, Alex, for dropping that link in there. If we don't get your question today, check out that link that she dropped in the chat for you. Perfect. And welcome, Sandy. Happy to have you here. Let's get rolling. I'm actually going to stop sharing so you guys can focus on the presentation. I'll stop sharing my video, and we're going to switch over directly to our, where is it? There it is. There we go. To the screen, so that way you can see the presentation and not my lovely face the entire time. Okay, here we go. So 4 fundamentals for exporting an outstanding manuscript with Scrivener's compiler. So let's jump right into it. Real quick, I don't know if we have anyone new here, but if you don't know who I am Oliver Evanson, the outreach specialist for Literature Latte. I've been doing this for about, I should say, I've been using Scrivener and Scalpel for about 14 years and absolutely love it. If you're interested in booking a how-to webinar with me, either as a small group or as a large group, if you're looking for more one-on-one experience, reach out to me directly, contact ojevison.com. If you're looking for more of a group effort, you have like a bunch of writers or a writers group that you want to join with us, go ahead and reach out to literaturelatte.com/outreach, and we can set something up, because I love doing those small group sessions. They're so much fun. We can kind of delve into some of those smaller issues. And the one-on-one sessions in particular, if you have a unique situation that you're having trouble with and you really want to talk to me face-to-face, reach out to me via email. Maybe we can work something out. That said, I do encourage you to use our technical support team. It's free. They do a great job. And honestly, it'll save you more time and money if you can go through them. So here we go. Let's go ahead and dive right in here. And let's look at the 4 fundamentals for exporting a manuscript with Scrivener's compiler. So first off, we have, if you look at the compiler when you first open it, there are 4 sections to look at. We have our compile output. Okay, that's where we choose how we're going to export, or what format we want to export out, whether that's a print, we want to print it from our printer, we want a PDF file, a Word file, open office, plain text, final draft, EPUB, MOBI, or a multi-markdown format. Okay, and we're not going to look at all these today, but we'll probably take a look at each couple of these so you can kind of see what's going on here. And maybe we'll gauge interest from the chat and see what you guys want to look at when we get to that point. From there, we're going to look at our compile formats. This is kind of like the defaults or the existing formats that already exist in Scrivener. Now, you can create your own personal formats once you kind of get familiar with the compiler. But by default, we have the default format, which ideally just pulls in takes your manuscript as it appears in Scrivener, all the fonts and all the settings you have, and sends it out just how it is, right? There's going to be some changes here and there in terms of like page counting and things like that sometimes. But really, for the most part, we're trying to keep everything that's currently formatted in Scrivener the same when we export it out. Then we have a manuscript format, which kind of changes it into that the ideal manuscript that you might send to a publisher or an editor or an agent, right? And we can have that available in Courier or Times. We have an outline document that allows you just to print out the actual outline that you have in your index cards from in the corkboard or the synopsises, right, from our inspector. And also we have a paperback option, a proof copy option, maybe if you're sharing with your friends or peers, script and screenplay, if you're writing a script or screenplay. We also support Vellum, so an export to Vellum. If you guys know what that is, we might talk about that a little later if we have time. And then we can also edit these formats and make our own. Typically, I'll start with an existing format and then kind of make it my own. Third section, we have section layouts. And this is allows us to choose our global font. So regardless of what format we choose in the section layout section, we can go ahead and select any font we want our manuscript to be right in that section there. If we want to, we can change it to whatever we want to do. And I'll show you how to do that. In addition to this, we can edit our section layouts from the overview and kind of make changes to how we want our manuscript to look when it's compiled out, how chapter headings will look, how scene settings will look, how will, what do you call it, how scenes will appear, how, what you call it, sections. If you have a section, like if you may be familiar, like how to do a prologue, a prologue would probably come under a section with a section title. And we could look at that today and how that works. And also assigning those section layouts. So making sure that they get assigned to the correct places. This is where it gets a little sticky for some people. It's gonna be kind of confusing to understand this concept, but hopefully as we go through it today, it'll make more sense to you. And last but not least, we're gonna look at our compile settings. There are 4 tabs there, or 4 options there, I should say. Or there might be actually a couple more. I'll have to look at that. Contents, but we're going to look today at contents, metadata, general options, and cover options today. And last but not least, this is not a tool. That's why I just tacked it on the end. We're going to compile the draft probably several times to kind of see what our outcome is with each version that comes out. Okay, so let's go ahead and close this out here. Oops, sorry, wrong button. Stop share real quick while I change this over. We're going to share our main desktop and we're going to get rolling here. Okay, let me pull that up. Okay, so let's go ahead and come in here. And we are going to actually grab, let's grab this example project here. Let's open it up. Because when it comes to compiling, we really want to see an existing manuscript, something that's actually going to come out and look relatively nice. And we can mess around with this. And this is an example manuscript I have of an old manuscript of mine, and we'll go from there. Let me just check the Q&A, see if we missed anything. Okay, I'll look at those at the end. Okay. And I'll pull up the chat here too, so I can kind of see that if anything is coming up here. Okay, first off, let's open our compiler here. Now, there are 2 ways we can open the compiler. First off, we can come up to the file menu here, go to File, Compile. You can see there's also a keyboard shortcut associated with it. It's going to be the same on a PC in terms of it's just going to be a different shortcut, okay? And we can also come to our toolbar here, which has it right here in the top right corner here. If for any reason it's not there, you can right-click, click Customize Toolbar, and you can find it among the tools here to add in. Excuse me. You can also reset to the default by dragging this up here and resetting it just like so. Okay, so let's go ahead and click done there. We'll click our button here to click compile. It's going to open it up, and you can see last time I compiled using the Manuscript Times format, I compiled for a PDF. This is our compile output right here. And you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tabs. Yep, so I must have skipped one. Yeah, we're not covering project replacements today, but we might take a peek at it if we have some extra time at the end. Okay, and you can see we have 1, 2, 3 sections. So I count like this. I got this top section right here, the output, the formats, the section layouts, and then the compile settings right over here. Okay, with the tabs, the 5 tabs here that we have. Okay. Okay, let's pull it over here. Perfect. Okay. So today you're saying I had no idea there were so many format options. Yes, there are a lot of format options. Okay, so let's start with our compile output. We're going to click here. This is compile for, and so we're going to just use what do we want to compile to. And you can see we have lots of different options here. Most of you are probably not going to be using multi-markdown unless you're familiar with it, right? However, you may delve into the ebook and the Kindle ebook options here, as well as if you use Final Draft, if you're sharing someone who uses Final Draft, you could export to that option. There's also have the option for a fountain screenplay document there. Plain text web page, Open Office for those who use Open Office. Usually what I think when I'm thinking about output, I'm thinking about who am I going to share this with and what format would they prefer, right? So usually if I'm working with a peer, I'll talk to that person and say, hey, what format works best for you, right? Even if that peer uses Scrivener, I typically will give them a Word document to edit that they can then take and put into their version of Scrivener or whatever. We usually kind of trade back documents like that because it's really easy to transfer a Word document or even a rich text file directly into Scrivener when received from someone else, rather than just sending them my entire project. Okay, sorry, give me a second. I just take a quick drink of water. Still suffering for some, what do you call it? Allergies this time of year, so bear with me. Okay, so here we go. Let's look at here. Let's go ahead. Give me an option here. Shout out in the chat. What output would you guys like to see first? Do you want to see a PDF file? Do you want to see a Word document? What do you want here? Word? Okay, Word document. Okay, Word's fine. That's good because some of these, like I don't have some of these, I can export them. I can't show them. I should have thought about that, but I can show EPUBs. I don't have Final Draft, so I can't show that, but you can export these out into those formats. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's do Word. And what we're going to do, the default format first, so we can kind of see what this might look like. You can see default format. There's not much to it. We have a chapter heading that's going to look like this. Okay, this is kind of gives us a preview of what our manuscript's going to look like when it comes out. And we have a scenes. Everything else is a scene, right? And oops, let's go to here like this. There we go. So we have a part. The part heading, there's nothing there. It's just going to be, it's actually kind of sad looking. Our scene is just like this. The main text formula will be based on how text appears in the editor, okay? And our chapter heading, the same thing. We're going to have a section title. It's not going to be chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. It's just going to be the name of the document. So let's look at that. Let's go ahead and click compile. And we'll just do that to our, where's my desktop? Our desktop here. I'm going to drop that over here. I don't know why that's missing. There we go. Desktop. And export that out. And depending on the size of the project, you can see it's loading here in the bottom left corner. It's going to kind of load up here. Everything's going to kind of freeze for a minute while it loads it up. And then when it's done, it'll disappear. And it'll actually pull that up for you. I have a second monitor, which is why it didn't pull it up immediately. Give me a second. I pulled it up into my other monitor here. And sorry, I have a little Word problem I need to resolve every time I open Word. I don't know why. You can see here now, all the chapters have just this. It's out of focus. You can see it's not real nice looking default because I just set it. I haven't set any settings to it. It's just looking kind of like text with some headings attached to it, right? But we got our Word, our what you call it, our numbering here. And it's also worth noting that depending on which, what do you call it, whether you use a novel template or a different type of template, that may affect your experience here a little bit. So the formatting is going to be a little different for each project type you have here, right? So the novel template, the novel parts can be pretty similar. If you're actually using a novel, I highly recommend actually writing a novel. I highly recommend you use one of these two templates that we offer stock, simply because the compile settings are already set up in a way that would make sense for most novels. Okay, so it's gonna be a lot easier to start from this point right here than it is to start with a blank project. I do like blank projects; they're great. It's great, a great blank canvas. But usually, what I'll do, even if I want something blank, I'll come in here. I'll use a novel template, just strip everything out I don't want, and then just go ahead and kind of pretend like, oh, this was a blank template. Okay, simply because of that. So we can see we compiled out like that, but it didn't give us really a nice result, like the result we might want. So let's kind of mess around things with a little bit things here. We're actually going to mess a little bit with our default here. I'm going to look at our our section layouts. Okay, this is a preview of what the manuscript looks like. And you can see for the parts, there was no heading. It was just text, right? So if there was a part here, there was just text with it, right? And for the scenes, the same thing. It's just the text as it appears in the editor. And for our chapter headings, we just had the title there, not real pretty looking. Let's go ahead and come down here. We're going to click Assign Section Layouts, okay? And we can see right now we have 3 different options. You may have more, you may have less. It just depends. Okay. We can click here and click Show Unused ones. See, there's some other options here that are not being used at all. We're going to go ahead and hide those. And we're just going to focus on our headings. These are the section types that are being used currently in our manuscript. You can see we have a part heading right here. Scroll up here. There's a part heading. There's a part heading, right? We have a chapter heading right here. And you can see when I select those will be highlighted over here in the right menu. So I can tell what they are, where they are in this nice little window here. Okay, so let's go back to Assign Section Layouts. And for our part heading, we want it to actually look like a part heading. So let's scroll up here and see if we can find a section type that looks like a part. Okay, so it doesn't look like we have a specific one for this in this manuscript. Some of them will. Like if you do, let's go back here. Let's close this out for a second. If we go to File, New Project, and do Novel with Parts, let's go ahead and create that, and I'll show you what it looks like. We'll call it Novel with Parts. And we'll go into our Compile menu here again, right here, top right corner. You can see here we have a part heading already built into it very nicely, looking good. Okay, and that may also appear. You can see right here, it even has a part heading. This is how it does for the default. Okay, so if we come down here to the manuscript times, right, it's going to give us a few more options based on this format. Okay, let's go back here. Let's see if that's actually appears over here too. That's something I hadn't thought of. We come over here. If we click our manuscript times, oh, there we go. Yep. So we get a nicer looking part that we don't have to recreate from scratch if we use the manuscript times format. But we can also mess around with this default one a little bit. Let's go ahead and do that. We're going to come up here. We're going to call this a, we're going to do the same thing in the other one. We're going to click OK. And so part headings now are going to have 1, 2. So every time there's a part, there's going to be 1, 2, 3, right? And then when there's a scene, we can assign that as well. Let's go here. Scene, we can just have the main text will be formatted based on how the text appears in the editor, which I think is fine for the default. That's what we're expecting. We're expecting the formatting to come out the same as it appears inside of our manuscript. But our chapter heading, let's say we don't just want a section title. We also want a numbering with it as well. Okay, we'll click OK. So the main difference here is that this one has no text below it, whereas this one will have text below it. It says main text will be formatting as based on how it appears in the editor. And this is just for our default formatting. Let's go ahead and compile it now and see how it looks. And I'm actually going to give it a new name so we can see this so it doesn't override it. Sometimes when you overwrite an existing document, whether that's a Word document or PDF, it can give you some weird results. So I usually just either delete the old one or go ahead and just title it something else. Okay, so load it up here. Sorry, let me switch it over. I'm just dealing with this Microsoft Word problem. Come on, Word, work with me here. Okay, and we'll come over here. We'll bring that right there. You can see them on my desktop. You can see this time, okay, we have part 1, right? Or rather chapter 1, 2. So a little bit nicer. You can see this is supposed to be a part here. Looks like some of my structure formatting is off a bit so there's still some work, but you can already look, it looks a little bit better than it did before, and we're already moving in a better direction. Now, this is just if you want to use the default version. Okay, let's go back here. Let's look at our manuscripts. It's not just about what we do in our compiler. It's also about the structure of our manuscript and how we've structured it here in the binder. Let's go back here. Let's look at it right now. We kind of have this straggling scene here. I'm going to throw that in there with that. So it should be part 1, part 2, part 3. We're going to go ahead and trash that. Don't need it. Oops, that's a lot of trash. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts, right? Ideally. We're going to go back to our compile menu here. Actually, real quick, let's look inside these. Inside each part are numerous chapters. Okay, so we can see that. Oh, it looks like this guy should be out. Is there anything in there? There we go. Yep. There we go. Yep. Like that. Okay. Oops. Okay. So our structure is looking better already. We come in here, we can actually see that structure now. There's our part headings, 1, 2, and they're all looking like they are out correctly. I didn't see that before, that Gavarongo was kind of inside a little bit, making it a little bit weird. And this time, let's look at it from a different format. Let's look at it from the Manuscript Times format. Now this one, very little needs to be done. Most of it has been taken care of for you. So you can click that there. You can see our part 1 is going to look like part 1 with a section title. So in this case, it's going to say part 1 colon section title overboard, right? That'll be part 1. And then part 2 will be part 2 section title, which is Tenebia, and so on and so forth. Liam, the storm, etc. And also with chapter 1 here, we're going to have chapter 1 plus the name of the document. And I highly encourage this. This is not always set up by default. If you want to make it so it appears like this, we come to assign section layouts again. Okay. We look at our chapter heading, and instead of having it like this, where it's just chapter 1, we have chapter 1 plus the section title. And so if you've been following my advice in the past, where you're giving really specific names to your chapters and your scenes and things like that, this will kind of already be built in. All you'll have to do is come in here and change this from chapter 1 to the section title if you want to use the title of your documents or the title of your chapters as the actual titles of the chapters in your manuscript. Okay, so we'll click OK again. It'll be like that. You can see scene here. We have the main thing to point out here is that every time there is a scene break or a new document, like see how there's 2 documents here in this scene. Let's go ahead and add this back in. There is going to be a pound symbol. Okay, now we can adjust that. We're not going to do it quite yet, but we can change that to be whatever symbol we want it to be. Just bear with me while we go ahead and do this real quick. We'll go ahead and click compile. This time we're going to do number 3. And we're going to see how it looks like this time. And this is using one of the default formats. Very minimal changes have been made here. We're using the Manuscript Times, so it's going to be in Times New Roman. You can see right there, the font is Times New Roman. And boom, there it is. Just 1 second. And there are going to be a few things you're going to notice already that are different. Okay, let's open this up here. There we go. Okay, so there we go. We see right there, we have like this little header here with the author name, the name of I think I added like the name of the series here or something, but just with some extra information as well as some page numbering. Scroll down here, we have part 1 overboard, chapter 1 out of focus, right? And so already we're in Times New Roman. It's looking pretty good. You know, just having changed format from default to this Times New Roman format here. Let's keep going on. We're just pointing out all the things that need to work on. Chapter 2, right? And so on and so forth. It's going to look the same all the way through. Every time you see one of these pound symbols, you know there was a document break in Scrivener, okay? And you could also just, I mean, if you want to make it a quick work of it, right? You could come in here, copy and use words, command, is it find and replace? Find and replace function, and you could search, find all these, right? Oops, let's just type it in. Okay. And then replace them all with something else, right? That would be really easy to do. Okay. 55 replacements were made. But Scrivener can also do that for you as well. We don't have to do that in Word if we don't want to. Or maybe if you're not using Word, let's say you did it as a PDF file, you want it to come out as a PDF file, then you could do that in Scrivener. So because it wouldn't be easy to do it in some of the other formats. Okay, so let's go ahead and don't save that. Let's go back in here. Oops, that's the wrong one. Back in here. Let's look at. Okay, so I'm gonna take a peek at the chat. We kind of looked here at the compile output and the compile formats a little bit. We'll take a little closer look at even the section layouts here. I'm gonna look at the chat and see what we can find out here. If there's any questions I can help on. Okay, so PDF. Okay, Kendra, we'll look at PDF here in a second. Lee will also look at EPUB. One thing I wanted to give you guys, I think I forgot, Kirk McEwen on our blog actually just came up with a great blog post on how to use the compiler to export EPUB files. So so I would highly recommend you check that out. That's a great blog post, and it covers it in depth. Okay, so Tim, you don't see Vellum listed. Okay, so that's actually a good question here. Vellum is not available in all the compile outputs. It's only available in the Microsoft Word output. So that's just something to be aware of. Okay, That's because I believe Vellum only accepts Microsoft Word format for importing into their software. Okay. If you guys don't know what Vellum is a self-publishing tool that helps you take an existing manuscript from Word and convert it into a beautiful EPUB or EPUB book to upload to Amazon or the all the ebook retailers, so to speak. Excuse me, sorry. My nose is giving me trouble. But Scrivener recently added this option where you can actually export your manuscript into this format that will be accepted into Vellum. I actually do have Vellum. If you are looking for a kind of a desktop publishing tool, Vellum is a great tool to use. Now, to be honest, you can use Scrivener to do something, basically the same thing, right? The nice thing I'd say about Vellum is they have, because their focus is specifically on self-publishing a book, right? Getting that book out there, and is that they have a lot of options that are put together really simply. They're really simple, really easy to use. And if you're interested in that, you certainly can pursue that. But if you're also interested in using Scrivener from the brainstorming phase all the way to the publication phase, Scrivener is capable of doing that. And the compiler can enable you to do really amazing things with your ebooks. Okay. Let's see here real quick. PDF. Okay. Okay, sorry, I'm just looking through the chat real quick to see if I didn't miss anything. So Hebelt, you said I did that yesterday and couldn't figure out how to get rid of the pound symbol and the header. Okay, so why don't we take a minute? Let's look at that real quick, actually, because I think that's a good segue to our next section here. So let's say we use the Manuscript Times format, right? But we want to adjust this. Now, there's a couple ways we can go about it. Let's come in here and look at this real quick. Let's go to our scene. We can actually click this little edit button and click duplicate and edit layout. And we can come in here. It'll take us into this menu. This is where it gets kind of like, oh, wow, this is a lot. Okay, but don't worry. Stick with me. Let's move around through here. Let's see if I can find it here. Maybe it's not here. Okay, yeah, it's not here. Okay, so you can see also we have an option here now where you can actually test it and see how it'll look, which is kind of fun. This was not here even I think a year ago or so. That was a fairly new addition. It's really nice. You can just test it out real quickly. And in the compile menu, you can see how your sections are doing it. So let's go ahead, and we're in here. What we've done here essentially is we've taken the Manuscript Times and we've created a copy of it. So actually, I'm going to back out of that because that's one way you can do that, but I think it's not the most intuitive way. Let's close out of this work. The easiest way to kind of demonstrate what is going on here is actually just select the Manuscript Times format, right click it, and then click duplicate and edit format. Okay. Okay, and we might call this, I'll just put my name on it, Oliver. This is my version of this format because I'm making changes to the existing format. In fact, you can create your own format from scratch, but I really find it helpful to start with something that already exists, right? Kind of like a template, right? And then kind of make it your own. So we'll go into here. Let's see if I can find it. Not compatibility. We're looking for page settings, header and footer text. Okay. So right now, this is not quite what I was looking for, but right here, this is the header and footer text that we see right here. If I scroll all the way to the top, come on. Or is this not it? This is not the one. I think it is this guy right here we want. Okay, there we go. Yep. This guy right here at the top. Okay. If you want to get rid of this or if you want to change this, you can easily do that in this menu right here. And once again, so you can kind of see this, we can get there. I know it's kind of tricky. We'll go to duplicate and edit format. We'll create my own. Once again, I'm going to add my name to it. And then we're going to go to page settings here. We're going to go to the main body. Okay, it's the main text here. And we're going to look at the header and footer text. And right there, you can see it has my surname, an abbreviation of the project title, and the page numbering. Let's say I just want the page numbering. So I'm going to go ahead and close that out, delete that there, and then we'll click test. So you can see this. We'll do this as number 4. And we'll test that out. Loading. Okay, so once again, it loaded in my other screen. I'll pull that over here in just a second. Come on. Here it is. Okay, and now you can see that header is gone. It just has the heading for the chapter numbering. If I scroll down 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., all the way down to the end of the manuscript, which is, I might add, it's quite long. Let's see, about 238 pages. Okay, let's close that out. And real quick, let's come back in here. Actually, I'm going to close this guy out too, because we currently don't need it. Okay, so we've got that there now. That's looking good. We've kind of removed our heading. If you wanted to get rid of that page numbering there, you could do that. You could also move this to the footer in the center here. Let's look at that real quick. Replace. Yeah, we'll go ahead. This time, we'll go ahead and replace it. Hopefully nothing bad happens. Usually when I replace it, sometimes I run into some weird issues, but I'm going to trust it's going to work this time. Let's give it a whirl. Save some time. Okay, good. Yep. Excellent. Okay, there we go. Yep, that worked perfectly. So I'm going to quickly move this over here. You can see now in this version, the footer now appears in the center on the bottom. That's what those boxes represent. This is the center of the page. This is the right side of the page, the left side of the page in the footer. This is the right, top middle, top left, right? And so that's kind of the positioning that hopefully that helps you understand what's kind of going on there. So you can kind of put headers and footers anywhere you want to throughout the entire main body of the manuscript. Okay. Okay. Let's see here if I can find the separators. There we go. So this is what I'm looking for. The separators right here. This determines what comes between new documents and new chapters and things like that. So if I go here and I go to folders and text files. So there are two types of default separators for these options. You can also set them up individually for each type of layout, whether I use a part title, a chapter title, or a section type. You can see the ones that are bolded. Those are the ones that are currently being used in my manuscript. I'm not using chapter headings. I'm not using a heading, a chapter with title, any of those things. I'm using a section layout, section type, part title, chapter title, section text. And just to demonstrate this, I'm going to click save. And we go to, this is the manuscript right here, right? So you see I'm using part heading, chapter heading, and scene. Let's see here. I don't know why that one. Okay. Yeah, chapter heading. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so if you were confused there, chapter heading, I was confused there for a second. My chapter heading has been assigned to the section type chapter title. Okay, that's why I was showing that. Okay, we come back here. Let's say we've made changes, right? We want to go back and change it again. You can see these, the project formats. These formats are available in this project. Okay, and if I right-click it again, I can then go ahead and edit this existing format. One thing you'll notice is I can't actually make any permanent changes to the existing formats here, okay? Because these are locked; they're set by default. But I can duplicate and edit them, or I can create some new formats of my own, right? I can even bring in formats from other projects and export formats to share in a different project. Okay, so we'll come back here. We'll click Edit Format, and once again, you can see we have the three section types we're using. Okay. And we can choose how we want there to be a break. In this case, with the part title, yes, we do want to have a page break between those. Okay. For the chapter title, let's see here. It's using the default separators, which is for folders, which is a page break. Separate between sections is an empty line. And in this case, we're looking at text files, or let's see here, section text, either one. We're using that pound symbol. So I'm going to use text files because I think it's a little bit simpler. We have folders, we have text files, right? So between those two, we have it set to custom. We could do that as a single return, an empty line, a page break, or custom. In this case, we're going to do it as those 3 asterisks. Okay. We're going to test it again, see how it looks like this time. This time we're going to make a 5th one, export it out, and see what happens. And sometimes, one of the biggest challenges I say using compile is sometimes you just have to be a little patient, because when you're testing it out, right, you kind of have to wait for it to load up. It's usually not too long, but it does take a little bit of time to kind of get things just how you like it. Okay, there we go. Okay. So hopefully you can see that there. Okay, looking good. Let's find where the asterisk would be, like where a seam break would be. We're going to scroll down here, see if we can find it. Oh, looks like it didn't change. Okay. So what is going on there? Scroll down again. Yep, it didn't change. So let's go, since that didn't work, let's go back in, see, find out why. So sometimes that's what happens. Separate before sections, separate between sections. Let's try the section text here. And it might be being overridden by this, I think is what I assume is what's happening here. And sometimes we just kind of have to mess around until we get that right setting. Blank line separator. We're just going to have nothing there at all. So what happens sometimes, in this case, that blank line separator, if you have two lines where there's a break, it'll put a pound there. I usually don't need that. Yep. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that out of there. Because sometimes, usually if I have two lines that have separated, it's because I've accidentally added an extra line there that's not supposed to be there. I might keep that on so I can recognize that and remove those extra lines, but really we're just going to go ahead and remove it for now. We'll click save. Actually, no, let's try test again. Export and replace it. And hopefully this time it works. Here we go. Come on. You can do it. There we go. Okay. Loading up. Oh, Word is the bane of my existence. Sometimes it works great and sometimes it does not. Scrolling. Oh, there we go. So that did it. Okay. You can see that we have our asterisks there now instead. Our 3 asterisks. If we keep going down. Yep, there we go. So you'll keep finding that again and again throughout the manuscript now that we've made that change. So there you go. Yeah, I'm assuming this was overriding that because that was the section type we had selected. Okay. Now you can see there's lots of different options we can do. We can adjust whether there's a title included with this section type, metadata, synopsis, notes, text. You can see in particular with the chapter title, we don't have text included because we're using scenes. If I just had a chapter that was a single document, wasn't a folder, didn't have anything into it, any text or any files inside of it, it was just a single document, I'd want to have that option checked because I want the chapter title plus the text attached to it. Okay. So you can see there's a lot of fun stuff we could dive into here and talk about and kind of mess around with. But hopefully you're kind of seeing there's some possibilities here. It's going to be a lot of trial and error to some degree with some of this stuff. But if there are specific questions or specific issues you're running into, I'd like to hear them, because usually the option to fix the problem you're having is somewhere in this menu. Okay, whether it's adding a bit of text or something that should be added to every chapter, or removing a header or a footer, or you name it, there's something in here that needs to be changed to get the result you want. Okay, usually, and on occasion it's over here in this menu over here. Okay. So looking good. We've created our own custom format. Let's see here. Let's look at maybe real quick. I saw someone wanted to see what it looks like if I compile to a PDF file. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. We'll export this out as a PDF file this time. It loads that up like so. And there we go. Okay. It's going to look just like this. You can see our numbering there is the bottom, like we set it up with this format. We'll find our, oops, looks like we didn't save that, but we'll have our 3 asterisks if we had saved it. Let's go back in there and check that real quick. Edit format, separators, section title. Yep, it didn't get changed for some reason. We didn't actually save it. We'll click save. That time it should go properly if we wanted to keep like that. Okay, let me look at the chat here because I know I just went through a lot. Okay, I see people asking about Vellum. That's good. And thank you, Lee, for pointing that. Vellum is a Mac only app. That's something I neglected just to mention. Is so if you're using a PC, it's not gonna you're not gonna have that option there. I don't think to export. I could be wrong. I haven't actually checked it because I don't typically export to Vellum from a PC because I'm usually using my Mac. I'm going to export that and test that out there for that option. But yeah. Kindle Previewer, if you're using, I think it's an option you can use if, as well, especially if you're planning to export up to into Amazon's little ecosystem there. Let's see here. It's under separators. Brilliant. Perfect. Oliver is secretly amazed. Thank you, Keith. I appreciate that. No magic. Yeah, right. All right, Alex. No magic required when you have Scrivener. That's right. Yeah, all the magic is baked in. It's perfect. Okay, let's see. Scenes and let's see here. Yeah, the test feature is very useful, Catherine. I agree with that. It's super nice to be able to just quickly test this out right here in this formatting menu, so you can kind of test and see if the change that you've made is the one you actually wanted to make, right? How is metadata useful? That's a good question. You can see none of these options have the metadata included by default, but it might be useful if we were using, let's go here, our outline document option here. So let's do a full indented outline. Let's actually duplicate and edit this outline real quick. And we're going to add in, it looks like we're using this guy right here. We're going to add in the metadata here. I don't know if this is a good example because I don't know how much metadata I've actually used in this, what do you call it? Forget the name. In this specific manuscript. Let's look and see what comes up. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so it's including here the metadata that we, both custom and existing metadata. It has our created date, it has our modified date, it has the status, the labels assigned to it. Is it complete? The setting and critiqued? No. So like I have all those options there, right? And you can see here, it brings in that information for each chapter that I have here, each part, right? So that's kind of a cool thing. To be honest, that's a great question. I haven't really messed with it. But yes, you can add in that metadata into an outline like this, which I think might be useful. It looks like you could technically add it to any of them, right? But I think it would be most useful in some sort of outline structure here. Let's see here. Metadata listed here. So it's going to have our section title. Problem here, I can already see already, is that we have the section title metadata listed here. Let's go ahead and modify this to here. For our chapter heading, we want let's do part heading. Metadata listed here. And then for our chapter heading, we want our section title like that. And for a scene, let's do that. Let's see what we're looking at here. So we have this guy right here who has the section title plus the metadata listed, chapter heading. Actually, let's go in here too. Let's edit this again, edit format. And instead of having it appear here, let's see, section layouts. Where are we? Okay, there we go. Yep. So these are all, we're using all three now. We can have the metadata included in all of them. I'm not going to have it included in the part. Okay, so we have it listed in our chapter heading now. You can see metadata listed here. We have it included in our scene title, metadata listed here. Let's kind of see how this looks like. And you'll find that with the compiler, you'll be doing stuff like this quite frequently, actually, where you're kind of messing around with the settings here and kind of exploring what's possible and getting the output you want. Okay, there we go. So the overboard, the part has the part synopsis here, right? And then it goes into our A out of focus. Okay, I don't know why that chapter 15 is there. It's probably in the synopsis. And it goes through and it gives us this is not a very good example. Let me try one of my actual projects that I'm working on. That actually, it would make a little bit more sense to me. Even I get confused, guys, so don't feel bad if this is a struggle for you sometimes too. So we're gonna come in here. This is an actual project I'm working right now. You can see I'm using the proof copy format because I've been sharing it with my my peers. There we go. There's the word I'm looking for. And what we're going to do is we're going to do the full enumerated outline, or actually the the full indented outline. Okay, and see the problem we're running into already is how these are how this has been assigned. So let's assign section layouts. We have a part heading, a chapter heading. Yeah, you know what? Let's just go with this. Let's do all the same. We're going to do all the same like this. Hopefully this will make more sense if we all use the same thing. We'll click OK. Now we're going to come in here, duplicate and edit layout. We used the decimal outline item this time. I click the metadata included. So it's going to have the 1.1 and then go all the way down like that in that structured order. It's going to list our metadata next to it and also have our synopsis text there. Okay. We'll click save. We'll go ahead and compile that out, mark it the shadow, put it on our desktop, export. Here we go. Let's see how this looks. I think this should look better. There we go. Okay, so we have prelude to the Phantom Lords archive. It gives me all the metadata about it. There is no synopsis, so synopsis was not included. Same with the Seventh Kingdom, blah, blah, blah. It gives me all that metadata, including my custom metadata attached to that and the additional things. So you can see this would be a decent outline. I would probably look and see if there's a way I can remove like this created and modified. I'm not really sure I really would want that information, but I definitely like having the option of having this extra information here. And this is a good use case where it might be a good idea to change my label name from label to something else. You can see if I come here, I mentioned this the other day, if I click here and click edit and change the label to point of view, POV, or actually type out points of view. When I export that out, it's no longer going to say label, it's going to say point of view and who the point of view is, right? And you can see how we can go through that and have those all available. Yeah, that looks really good, right? This is a rise the shadow marked and so on and so forth, all the way down throughout the entire novel. You can see as we get further down, we have more synopsis. Some of it has been filled out, some of it hasn't, but it looks really, really neat and nice. Okay. Anyway, I know that was kind of an aside. That was a good question though. How is that metadata useful? That's potentially how it could be used. I'm sure if you mess around with it, you might find some other use cases for it, but that's how I would probably use it in some sort of outline that I was going to share, either print out and look at myself and kind of gauge and see how I'm doing, or just to share with someone else. Once again, though, you don't have to use this, right? It's one of those tools it's great. It's there. It exists. You may find it useful for some projects and you may not find it useful at all, and that's okay. Okay, let's see here. Ooh, that's a good question. So Keybell is asking, if you create a format as you did here, will it be available in new projects? The short answer is it depends. Let's see here. There used to be an option here where it would appear in yeah, there it is right there. My formats. This format exists in all my projects. So if I go over to a new project here, let's open this guy right here, file. Let's you click that button. You can see this format does exist in all of my projects, but these project formats do not. Okay, so the question is, how do we do that? This is one of those questions I used to know the answer to, but it has been so long since I've been asked it. I can't remember. Alex, I'm gonna turn to you real quick. Do you remember how to make this this format available in all your projects? Because I know I've done it. I got it right here. It's been so long since I needed to do that. Let's see here.
Maybe you have to duplicate it.
Yeah.
Or something with the plus button or the ellipses in the bottom, maybe.
That's what I thought too, but I see we can import a format. I'm not seeing the option. I feel like it used to be in this menu, but it has since changed.
I can investigate and put it in the chat if I figure it out.
Yes, please do that, Alex. I really appreciate that because that's a really good question. I know there's a way to do it, and I apologize that I can't remember at this exact juncture. But as you can see, it is possible. It's there. That is my format available in every project, and these are the project formats available right there. And hopefully we can figure that out. If we can't figure it out right now, then we will we'll get it to you. Either shoot us an email or something. We'll figure out how to do that, because that is possible. I'm just blanking on how to do it right now. Thank you, Rosemary. I'm pretty sure metadata would need to be an entirely separate webinar. I'm probably going to have to come up with a compile series where we really dig deep into specific features. Like I could probably spend, and I probably have already, a whole webinar just in this window discussing each of these different options and how they work and what they do. That's so true. Because to be honest, to be frank with you, I don't use all these options. Okay. And so I'm not as familiar with them even as I would like to be. And so that's something I'm probably going to have to do and look at and get you guys some more options there on how to do that. So let's go ahead. Let's jump back into here. You can see we have lots of different Scrivener formats here. We have a enumerated outline, a full indented outline. The enumerated outline is like it sounds. It's just the section title. Okay, in the decimal format, alpha is the decimal outline item format here. If you go in here, so yeah, decimal outline item. Okay, you can do alphanumeric if you want to. You can switch it over, and it's just going to take the titles of your documents and create an outline from it. So let's look at that real quick. I wonder, yeah, let's just go ahead and compile it. Export, so you can kind of see what that's going to look like. You can see there it is. It's just like, honestly, it's basically the same thing we're seeing right here, right? Yeah, it's just, we've added in this, the decimals to it all the way down. Okay. And the enumerated outline, the full indented outline, I should say, not enumerated. That one includes the synopsis. And if you want to, of course, you can come in there, edit that, and make it your own. Okay. Let's see here. I'm just going to look real quick in here because I feel like it's probably in here somewhere. No. Okay, yeah. But you can come in there and you can add in your metadata or your notes, your text to that. Okay. Notes just like it sounds, going to pull those document notes into the outline there. Okay. Okay, let's see here. So we talked about that. Manuscript Courier is the same thing as our Manuscript Times, except for it's in the Courier font. You may remember that I told you can click that there's a way to change this globally. So no matter which one I'm using, I can select any font from this menu right here. And that's true for our default as well. It's determined by the section layout. I can come in here and change this to whatever font I want it to be, okay, really quickly and easily without actually having to go into Scrivener and change each document one at a time, right? That would be a pain. You can do that right there. That's a global font control right there for any of these guys, okay? But we do have it available by default in Courier and Times because those are the two most commonly used fonts when exporting and sharing with an agent or an editor or even a peer for that matter. We have a modern option as well. It's kind of has this kind of part one, chapter one kind of vibe. It's a little nice looking. It works well. It looks good. We have the outline document, which is kind of just like it sounds. It gives us our part heading, our chapter heading, and then the scenes. It's going to give us all the synopsis for the scenes. I like this one. This is a really good one to use. Maybe let's demonstrate that one over here so we can kind of see that a little bit better. We're going to go here, compile. And I'm going to go here to our outline document. You can see this. We have here chapter one. Maybe that's not quite how I want it set up. Section title. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Part section title. Yep, that works. And our scenes. 1, 2, 3. Actually, you know what? We're going to change this real quick. For our scenes, we're not going to use one. We're just going to use the synopsis like this. Okay, it's just going to be the synopsis. Oops, I did that wrong. I did it to the part heading. See, this is one thing you need to watch out for. You see, I had the part heading selected here. And so what I actually did, instead of changing the scene, I changed the part heading so it no longer included that section, the title, part one section title. So I don't want that. I want it to look like that. Once again, come back in here, click scene. Okay, that's what I was trying to get rid of. I didn't want that one there. I'm scrolling down here. I'm selecting the one that has no title. It's just the synopsis. I click OK. And this time it should come out looking very good. Mark with the shadow, replace. Loading up. There it goes. Okay, so now we can see we have like a chapter 1, chapter 2, part 1, chapter 3, etc. So a little bit of a problem here because those first two chapters are not chapter 1, chapter 2. That's supposed to be a prelude or a prologue. So if I wanted to fix something like that, I'd come back in here. I'd make sure that this is not assigned a chapter heading. This needs to be a section, okay? And this prologue also needs to be a section, okay? That way our chapter headings actually start right here. This will be chapter 1. These will just be 2 sections. And how those sections look like? They look like this, just the section with the section title. Let's go ahead and compile that again so we can see how that is, how that works. That should fix that chapter numbering that came out wrong in this outline document. Okay, very good. There we go. So now you can see now instead of changing chapter 1, chapter 2, we have Prelude to the Phantom Lore Archive. We have our prologue. Then we have part 1. There we go. Chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. But once again, hey, I still wanted to have the chapter titles with these. Let's fix that. Let's come in here, go back to our compile menu, open that up. Let's go ahead and click section layout. So we'll go to our chapter heading. Okay. Looks like we don't have an option here. So if an option doesn't exist, then I have to, this is where it gets a little sticky. I have to create it myself. So we're going to duplicate and edit it. And what we want here, I'm actually going to look here. Chapter, there we go. Come here. We want the title. Oh, that doesn't look good. That's the one we want. Yep, section title. But we don't want it to look like that. We want it to look like this. So this is Helvetica, bold 12. Oops. Turn that. Leave. Okay, and we're going to change this to 12. And we're going to put it underneath it. Let's see here. Hopefully this will work. Oh, come on. Why don't I have a space there? Formatting. Chapter. Let's see. There we go. Okay, so I'm coming over to the title options here. Doing it like that. Okay. So this gets a little tricky. I'm not gonna lie. This is a little tricky here. Okay. You can see we can kind of mess around with this, and we're already running into some really interesting issues here. Like that shouldn't be there like that. And so this will take a little bit of work here. Pages, no prefix. Yeah. This isn't gonna be quite as easy as I thought it was going to be. So either way, we'll go ahead and just do it like this. Added a colon like that. Make it simple. So you can see we have chapter 1 plus a colon. And then we're going to go ahead and click test, right? And we'll test it out and see how it looks. Export, replace. There we go. Okay, so you can see, there we go. So we still have a little formatting issue there. I didn't want that colon underlined, but we can work with this. You can see this time, at least now we've got our chapter titles here. They've been centered. Not sure I really wanted that, but that's what happened. So you can see how we might have to kind of mess around with this and get the exact formatting we want. But really, this is pretty good for an outline document. If I just really wanted to have a quick thing, I want to read through the entire outline that I've made and have access to that. So there you go. There we go. Kind of fun. Thank you, Alex, for pointing that out. The test feature is currently only available on the Mac version. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, looking good. Let's see. What else have I not? I mean, I'm so behind in messages. It's in the chat. It's insane. Yes. Scrolling. Yes, Tammy. Yes, it is good to know the experts have problems too. Yes. Don't feel like you like this is easy stuff. I would say this for me this is where Scrivener gets a little bit more challenging than for the average user. If you're a bit more technical, right, you're gonna really enjoy messing around and tinkering with this. If you're not, and you just want something to work, then I would recommend sticking to these guys right here as they exist, as they are. Maybe messing around with the section titles and things like that. But once you start delving into like, hey, I'm going to duplicate and edit this, that's when it gets a little sticky. Like I said, you start getting into things where you kind of get some kind of different results, the results you might not expect. And so you're going to have to mess around with it until you get the exact results you want. And really, it just comes down to learning how Scrivener does it, how it works, understanding what's going on behind the scenes a little bit, and then just kind of getting used to it. But really, you don't need to go into the nitty gritty here and do all this extra stuff. You don't have to. This is extra. This is really cool. You can really customize things and get things how you want. There may be a few settings here, like I mentioned earlier, where we're doing the remove that header and footer text, right? And we want to change our separators. That's pretty simple stuff. But some of the other stuff, messing with these section layouts can be a little tricky. Adjusting styles and some other things can be a little bit tricky to mess with. Okay. So just a heads up there. And also another thing to make things even blow your mind a little bit more, it varies a little bit. If you're printing, you're going to have different options. If you have a rich text file, you're going to have different options. If you have a Microsoft document, so it may change depending on what format or what output you're sending it to. Okay. A few different options there. Okay. So kind of fun, but let's move on. Let's jump out of the formats, because I know that's kind of what do you call it? A sinkhole. I don't know. It's just like this, I can't think of the word, where you just keep falling and falling. It's like a rabbit hole. There we go. Rabbit hole. It just keeps going and going and going and going. Let's move on to a few more things. We still have a little bit of time left. I want to talk about this right sidebar over here, because this is a very powerful section as well. As you can see here in the middle, we have all of our compile settings here. Okay, and the ability to adjust what we're working on. So in this case, I'm working on a series, right? So I don't want to compile the entire series at once, right? If I had multiple books in here, that just wouldn't make sense. I want to choose the book that I'm working on. In this case, this manuscript right here, draft 4 of the Mark of the Shadow, right? And I'm just going to view this entire thing. I'm going to treat the compile group as a complete manuscript, which is what I want. That may be turned off. If you're doing it like this, where you're working with multiple books and multiple manuscripts, right, you'll want to have that checked. If I switch over to one of these guys, though, I might want to turn that off. Okay, if I'm just working on one chapter at a time or one part at a time, and I don't necessarily want to treat it as the compile group as a complete manuscript. Okay, something to be aware of. Okay, so we'll come back here. We'll go back into D4, Mark of the Shadow. You can see we can kind of filter through that and kind of mess around with what's going on there. We can also come here and specifically uncheck things we don't want to be included when we compile. So I might uncheck all. Maybe we decided we don't want to move forward with the prelude or the prologue. It wasn't let's say the beta readers didn't like it, so we're just cutting it out. But we don't want to delete it right now. We just want to cut it out and just click compile, and we'll have that option available to us. In addition to that, we can also add front matter and back matter. You may be familiar with, the information that comes before the book actually starts, right? A title page in this case, if we're using the manuscript times, or if we have any back matter, which we don't. Let's see here. In this case, we're using the manuscript format. We might, if we're using a paperback novel format, right, we might have that there. That would have our copyright, dedication, a blank page. We might even switch that option real quick. Let's see. Let's go to, let's do PDF, and we'll click our 6x9 inch option here. There we go. Let's see here. Yeah, let's do that. Let's assign these real quick. So we have a part 1 assign. So part heading should look like part 1 section title. Chapter heading should look like chapter 1 section title. Scene should look like this section text. Actually, is that the one we want? Yep. And then sections should look like section title like that. Okay. Okay. Now those have all been assigned. We have our sections here. We have our scenes here. We have our part headings there. And we have our chapters there like that. Oops. Quick mistake. You can see my chapters also have text assigned to it. We don't want that. Let's go back to our chapter heading. I just want a chapter. There we go, like this. Otherwise, we'll get some weird results. We don't want the text included because the text is already going to be part of our scenes. There we go. That'll fix that. Glad I caught that before we got too far into it. Then we'll click compile. Let's take a peek at that. This is going to be in a 6x9 format, 6x9 format paperback novel. Okay, in a PDF file. Loading. Give it just a minute. Yes. Okay. Yeah. I don't think I don't think I'm gonna be able to get to table of contents. So that's a great question. I'm gonna have to create another webinar here that handles more of that stuff. So you can see we're kind of in our paperback novel format. You can see how nice that looks. Oh man, it looks really good. Right from the get-go here, we have our 6x9 paperback format. We have our chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. You can see those, the beginnings wasn't included because I think we excluded it. But if we came in here again and we want to include the prelude, let's see how that looks with the prologue and everything attached to it too. Replace that. This is, once again, this is the paperback 6x9 in a PDF format. Looks really, really good. Okay, a lot of pages. There we go. And you can see if we're just looking at it like this, comes across like that, prologue. Oh, there we go. So I make it bigger, we could do kind of that split view. Now, I don't have any, what do you call it, any cover or anything assigned to this or any front matter in that regard that we could add to it. We certainly could add that stuff to it. Part 1. There we go. And so we can kind of mess around with this and kind of get the exact look that we want. Okay, but you can see it looks pretty good with minimal effort on my part. Looks like I got some highlighting I got to deal with there. But usually, you know, you'll go through it, you'll prove it, and you'll kind of find the problems in here, and then you'll go back to the compiler and kind of fix the things that need to be fixed. There we go. So fun. Okay, let's look at some other options we have here in our compile tab here. Sorry, no, I keep switching all over the place. So here we also have the option for metadata, right? Related to what the book is called, the title, the abbreviated title, as well as the authors who are a part of this work, right? All the stuff here. You can add in multiple authors, as the case may be, including their surnames and forenames. We can even add a subject or specific keywords here. We can come over here. So if I change those, that's going to change the actual title. So in this case, where you can see the original title of the book was The Otter and the Amulet. That's kind of like, that's what the project name was. And that was the working title for a long time. We eventually switched to the Mark of the Shadow, right? And now instead of just changing the name of the project, I could just go and change it. I don't have to. I just put the title, the correct title in there, and Scrivener knows to export the correct title. There we go. Likewise, we have some additional settings. We can remove footnotes if there are footnotes that we've included that we don't want included in this specific export. Same with comments. We could have comments removed. So you can see it looks like I have comments being included, which could be why I have some of that highlighting in there. We can remove annotations. If there are any annotations we don't want in there, those are usually turned on by default. If we have any struck through text, so if we struck through anything, we could delete that as well and have it removed automatically. A lot of different, we can remove highlighting if there's highlighting. So I had a highlighting problem. Those should be gone. We can even remove text color, remove all hyperlinks, all those kind of things. We can kind of mess around with too, and we can even reduce the file size here too. And last but not least, if you wanted to add a cover, you could do so here. Now, I don't think I have a good cover example. There we go. We'll just use the one that comes stock with Scrivener. You can see we have a paper size 432 by 648. Right? And it will be cropped vertically. We'll go ahead and use that just because that's what we have available. Let's go ahead and try this again and see how it looks. Loading up, here it goes. And the longer your manuscript, you know, and the more images and other things you may have, that's gonna, you know, complicate matters a little bit, make it go a little bit slower, but really it's usually, the compiler is usually pretty quick. So there we go. There's my cover, right? You come in here, here's the prelude, we're right into it. Yeah, it's looking really good. Let's see if we can find any of that highlighting or comments or anything in here. Nope, doesn't look like it. Looks like it's all been stripped out. So it's looking good. So just by glancing through and seeing problems, I was quickly able to remove things and see problems with the manuscript. But you can see already, right here, see how that the indentation is off for chapter 39, Hidden Enemies. And that's probably because if we go there, okay, just to give you a use case example, if I went to chapter 39, Hidden Enemies, let's see if I can find it. It's probably in here. Nope, not quite there. There it is, right there. Okay. So that means there it is. You can see It's because when I dropped this in from one of my collaborators, they were using indentation. Scrivener, we don't really need them, right? So I just copy that, find. And in case you wonder how to do it, I did Command F. You can use Control F on the PC to do the same thing. And we're going to paste it in there, paste. And what I do is I just replace that with nothing. Okay, replace all, boom. That fixes my indentation issue. Okay, it's gone. In fact, if I wanted to do this for the whole manuscript, I might click the manuscript here, go into the scrivenings mode right here. I'll go to view scrivenings. And what I'll do is I'll do the same thing. I'm going to go to edit, find, not quick search, edit, find, let's do project replace. There we go. Yep. And we're going to replace it with nothing. Replace all. It's going to warn me, hey, you sure you want to do this? I'm like, yes, I want to do this. It's going to search through my entire project and get rid of all of those tabs. So it changed 103 documents. So there was a lot of documents that had the tab there that wasn't supposed to be there. Okay. Do be careful with that, because if you're using tabs for a specific reason, that would strip those out. But typically, I'm just using first line indentation in Scrivener, so I don't have to worry about those. Now, when I go ahead and compile this out, that should come out correctly. Now, let's replace that. We'll go to chapter, I think it was 39, right? 39 to see the change. See if that gets done. Loading up. Loading. Okay, yep. Let's scroll down here. It's close to the end. Oops. 39, we're close. Oop. 37, 38, 39. There we go. You can see now, just by glancing at that, I was able to quickly identify a problem and go into my manuscript and fix it just like that. Okay. So this is where, a lot of those formatting issues that kind of crop up in Scrivener, and you're like, hey, I don't know what's going on here. It's good to kind of compile it out, kind of identify those problems, and then go through and see where you need to fix. So sometimes it's going to be in the manuscript. Sometimes it's going to be in the compile menu. It just depends on what's causing the problem. And that's why I say, sometimes when you're approaching a compile issue, it's hard to identify it directly without actually seeing a version of your manuscript and like, hey, what's going on here? What's the culprit? Where's the culprit? What's causing the problem here? So if you're having a specific, legitimate problem, please reach out to our tech support team. They're going to be happy to help you out and get you going there. So we got the cover image, GG. Unfortunately, we're out of time, so I'm not going to be able to do the table of contents today. But Alex, do read chapter 22 of the manual there. That's going to go ahead and help you understand how to do that. Maybe real quick, I'll just show you. There are some options here where you can go and create copy special. You can create copy documents from your manuscript here to create that table of contents or a structured link list. And kind of mess around with that. It's going to have the information how to do that. And I'll probably do a separate webinar. Maybe when I do, I'm trying to think of a good situation, a good one, but I'll get one built in that has that table of contents built into the webinar itself. So you can see how to do that and how to set that up. But what we'll do for now, let me go ahead and close this out. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to go through our last two slides. And then we'll call it a day. And I'll see you again on Friday. I'm looking forward to Friday's event as well. We have a great event lined up for you. Let me go ahead and stop sharing here. Turn my video back on and share over here real quick. We're going to jump right in here. There we go. Okay. So hopefully you're seeing the right screen. Let me see. Yep, perfect. So what's next? Well, we have an excellent event for you on Friday. We're going to talk about safeguarding your creative work from data loss by utilizing Scrivener. And Scrivener, honestly, is an exceptional tool in that regard. I think of all the things Scrivener does, this to me is one of the most important things it does, because there's nothing worse than opening up your computer and then finding, man, my manuscript that I've been working on for the last, 10 years, 10 years, or maybe even a year. I don't care if it's even been a month. You wake up one morning and you find all that work you just put into that book is gone. there's nothing worse than that. I can't think. I mean, it's just a dreadful feeling. Well, Scrivener has you covered. We're going to go in depth on how you can prevent data loss just like that, so it doesn't happen to you. And I can't wait to talk to you all about it. I do have the link here for you. If you guys haven't registered, please do. It's going to be a great event, and we're going to cover a lot of really good information for you there. Last but not least, of course, the Q&A here. I'm sure there were, I could see even in the chat, there were so many questions, so many things going on that I just couldn't get to. The compiler is a massive, powerful tool. Hopefully you kind of got a sense of how to use it practically, and also what those 4 fundamental tools are and how they work and what they do. Excuse me. But if you didn't, if at any point you just feel like, man, this is too much, reach out to our tech support team, or if you have a specific issue, reach out to them. They want to help you. They're happy to help you. So please do that. Oops. Sometimes that happens. Where'd you go? There we go. Why is it doing that? Give me a second here, guys. My computer has decided to rebel against me. Come on. Work with me here. There we go. Okay, there we go. So we have other resources there available as well. So check that out. Yeah, and as I told you guys last time, I'm creating content on YouTube and TikTok and also other social media platforms. So if you're interested in getting kind of like small tidbits and bites and things, maybe I'll even do a little short video on how to do the table of contents here soon. That's actually a good idea. And I'll post that on YouTube and you guys can check that out. And so if you'd like to see that, follow me on YouTube, follow me on TikTok. I'll get some stuff out for you. I'm really excited about that. And of course, we'll continue to have many great, wonderful events every month. So there you go. Okay, let's see the chat here. Thank you, Angelica. Thank you, John. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. That's excellent. Good to see you guys having a good time here. Tammy, thank you. Chris, thank you. George, this has been great. And thank you, Alex, for helping me out. I know it looks like we didn't get to the how to keep the project formats in all of our projects. So Alex, I don't know if you made any headway with that. If not, that's fine.
Yeah, I put it in the chat earlier.
You put it in the chat? Okay, I didn't see it. So okay, we're good. Good deal. Glad that got answered. Sorry about that. I'm gonna have to refresh myself as well after this, so I know what's going on there. And I think we'll call it good. So I will see you all on Friday. Oh, wait, real quick. Let me drop that link in there. This is for Friday's webinar. If you want to register for that, that's the link. If you haven't registered already, please do. Love to see you there. Okay, see ya. Everyone have a great afternoon or evening or morning or wherever you are.